Hello everyone, I'm Esperanza and this is Art from the Heart at St. Augustine's Church. And we're still doing our session remotely due to the lockdown because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, in this session, we are going to do something different. I don't know if you heard about rose windows, but yes, we are going to paint rose windows, just an example of painting. And this is something we did in our session earlier. So this rose window is done in a certain style. It's as you can see, it's still glistening well because the water has not dried completely. But we will do something like this, and this is more of architectural. But with what we're going to do, we're not going to scale it. So it's we're going to do an artistic interpretation rather than an architectural version of the rose window. But what we are trying to capture is the essence and beauty of the rose window, which we can actually see, we can still see it in churches, in large cathedrals, in older church buildings. I think it's really beautiful. So in our class previously, we used blue, but we can use a combination of colors. In our activity right now, I'm going to use blue, red, and green. And we probably would put some more details over here to create more character in our rose window. So let's start. And the first thing we have to do to create the rose window is to draw a circle. So we are drawing a circle. It doesn't have to be perfect. Again, we are not going to do an architectural type, but more of an artistic type. So that means the measurement doesn't have to be exactly as the actual building. However, if you do plan to do an architectural model, it has to be exact. The measurements have to be exact. Now, that's the first thing. So this is going to be the window itself. Yeah, we're going to change the design a little bit compared to this one. We're going to change it a little bit, but we are going to have 6 petals similar to that, because this one is a bit more complicated because it has 12 petals. So that would take longer, but you can actually create bigger windows with more details depending on how much time you have. So for the time we have online right now, we are just going to make an average size design, in my opinion. Well, maybe a small one even. Okay, so the next thing to do is draw another guideline, which is a circle inside the first circle we drew. Okay, again, it's not perfect. And then a third circle. It's similar to drawing a mandala. And then I have here another circle. And this smaller circle is already part of the rose window. So it's okay, if I do that, it's not our guideline anymore, but these two are part of the guideline. So I am going to divide this circle into 2. Okay, and now each side I am going to divide into 3. It's just like cutting a pizza. And I am going to extend that to the other side. Okay, I need to adjust this one a little bit. And that is because they are not even and it's so obvious. It's okay for them not to be that even, but the fact that it's so obvious that they're not even is a different thing. Okay, now in the middle of this, I am going to draw a line. Okay, a line there, and another line here. So just imagine this to be a slice of pizza. Okay, now along this line, okay, this point over here, this will be our petal. Okay, so we start by drawing the petal here, like that. Okay, going down. We can actually extend the line to make it easier for us. So we have that petal, okay? And then we draw the other petals. Again, as you can see, this is not really measured. Not all of them are equivalent in width, but we must try to make them as close as possible. However, if we are doing an architectural one, we will need tools like a compass, things that would help us create a more even, structured, and measured shapes. Okay, so how many petals do we have? We have 6 petals. Well done. Okay, now I will erase the lines here and I will replace those with shapes that are like leaves or circles. For this one, I would use something like leaves just for a change. And when I say just for a change, it's because inside the petals, okay, we will be drawing circles. Wait one moment. Let me just erase these guidelines. Okay, inside the petals, we will draw a circle. So there's a circle in each one. Try to make them as close as possible. I mean, the sizes as close as possible to each other. And here's the end of our guideline. So here we have a circle. And then here on top, we make another circle. And on the side, another one. So in fact, we have like flowers within a petal. So we repeat that pattern into each petal. So again, we are repeating the pattern in each petal. Again, the flower ends here in the guideline. So we have a circle at the center, a circle below it, wherein one side touches this one, this guideline, and then a few other circles, creating some sort of a flower inside the petal. And then same here. Okay, again, we have that circle, and we draw another circle here below that, touching the guideline below, another circle above it, and on the sides, creating something that looks somewhat like a flower. Okay, now, okay, we create another design. So I have to erase the inner guideline now so that it looks a little bit clean later on. Okay, so from this point where I drew my lower circle, okay, I will connect it directly and draw a line, and same here. So now the inner flowers are connected directly to that inner circle at the center. Okay, and yes, the petal is still the same, it's still a petal, so we still see that. And here, from this point, the intersection of this line with the circle, we draw a curve. So in the petal, there are those curves. And there we go. Doing pretty well. And there we go. So we now have those flower-like things inside the petal-like things. Okay, so the next thing to do would be to draw a triangle here on top. So we just extend the guideline and then draw lines from this to this point And this point is actually the intersection of a line coming from the center to the circle itself, to the circumference. Okay, so we extend that. And then here, I am just going to draw a circle. And then something that looks like a leaf. And then another small circle. And then another small circle here. And then another over there and another over there. Okay? And again, this continues here and here. And now we draw the sides of the window. So from this point, these 2 points, we draw a line straight down, parallel to the sides of the paper. Okay. And then we draw a line a little bit, okay, this is actually the bottom bit of the window frame, but we can either have some other designs here or just leave it as it is, like a wall. I will leave it as it is. So now I'm going to draw a line parallel to this. And that follows the curve here on top as well. There. And the same thing on the other side. Okay. You can either do it the other way, as in drawing the frame first and then the circle. Okay. Oh, and then here. Again, like that. And we do the same thing. We draw another parallel line to this as part of our frame. There we go. Okay, and I don't know if you've noticed, I left this point open because this is actually the pattern I want to show you. So here, I'm just going to draw some horizontal lines. And these horizontal lines are going to be part of the wall. Yes, the brickwork wall. No, stonework. Okay, so we've done those lines. Interestingly, we need to draw another set of lines. Now, perpendicular to those. So now do you understand what I meant earlier about the pattern? Where it's open, where it's open. And here later on, we're also going to open some part of it, which is slightly different from the activity we had in class, which is a full window. So this one, we are going to leave part of it open. Okay. So we've done that. And now I am going to erase part of this, which is Now the whole thing is following one pattern. And by that, the pattern that's slightly open, just like this. Okay, now I'm going to lighten this a little bit so that when I paint it, I could see more paint than pencil. Again, I am going to be mindful that this area here, I have erased because I would need to leave it open, similar to the other areas in the sketch. Okay, now this is becoming very exciting. So colors. First color I would like to use would be blue, and then red, and then a little bit of green. And green probably I will use for the leaves. Oh, I'm sorry. I need to paint it with water first, because at this point I am looking at, for a flat wash in the glass. So here, okay, I'm painting everything with water except for the circles. Okay. And remember, if we have too much paint or too much water, we would just need to lift it to achieve what we want to achieve. Okay, for the center. Okay. Now we start with the sides. There we go. Oh, again, I'm sorry. We paint everything except for the circles. See, I still get carried away. I try not to paint the leaves, but I've already said that everything except for the circles. So the leaves, you can paint blue over them. I'm just going to lift some of this and use them for other areas in the window. And yes, I'm getting carried away again. And the reason I say that is I'm painting an area which I was supposed to leave open. So we would need to lift the paint in that area. Let's start with that. And then here, I just need to paint it with water. And just like that. Okay, we're doing well. Then I'm gonna lift some of the paint here and use it on this side. Again, I'm lifting paint, using it on some other part of the rose window. And yes, as you can see, it's not perfect. Not all the shapes, not all the paint is within the lines, and that's okay. That's okay. Now, the next thing would be to paint the windows themselves, the round areas of the windows. And yes, I am just letting the paint bleed into the blue paint. And I'm starting here at the bottom. There we go. Okay, as we go towards the top, it should be more solid. The shape should be more stable. And again, that is because we're following a certain pattern. Okay, that is perfect. So here we just drop a little bit of blue. And then a little bit of red. This is to create the balance. In the colors. And then now we shall paint it with green or yellow if you feel like painting yellow over the blue. Again, on this part, more solid, defined shapes. And then as we go lower, we just let it spread. And if it doesn't spread, we have to help it spread with water. So this bit, we're going to help it spread, this bit as well. Okay, now the rose window, the rose itself is the colors have been painted and it's now for drying. We now have to do the sides. And I wouldn't attempt to do this sides because the colors might bleed into each other. So what we're going to do would be the sides which doesn't touch the rose itself. So here, we just paint the wall with water, only with water. And then we have to ready ourselves to paint it with burnt umber. There's our burnt umber. Not too concentrated, not too dilute, just in between. Because what we want to do is just to show that this wall is made of stones. Okay, so we now have burnt umber all over the wall. Now it's time to paint it with some black lines, but we need to let it dry, but just a little bit, not too dry. So far we have this, and I think we've done a very good job so far. It's a little bit dry now, still wet, but not as wet as earlier. There's still some puddles, so I'm just going to lift some of the paint in the puddles. As long as it doesn't deteriorate the appearance, that is fine. Okay. Yes, I just lifted some paint from a small puddle here, just one. And then I am going to start painting black lines over the sketch. And yes, the paint is spreading by itself. And that's actually my purpose here, to allow it to do that. There will be some areas which are drier, wherein the paint won't be able to do this, but that's fine. That would create a lot of character because of the difference in the way the paint spreads. Such as this area. There we go. That would actually depend on how dry the paint is. Now in this area, I think it's a bit too dry, so I'm just going to drop a little bit of water just to soften that appearance a little bit, just a little bit. And if that doesn't help, I'll drop a little bit more water later on. Again, in watercolor, water is very important. I was just telling one of my students earlier that occasionally you have to rinse your brush to allow it to be wet again. Otherwise, it's just going to absorb all the paint. Okay, this area is a little bit too dry now, but that's fine. So is this. Okay, in this case, I would need to just adjust it a little bit and help it with some water. There we go, perfect. Okay, that's what we want. That natural flow of water, the appearance of that natural flow of water. Okay. And then here we do that again. And again, if we have too much paint, we just have to lift it. There we go. Perfect. Okay, this area I might need to paint it again. Okay, that's perfect as well. Just, that's how we want it to be. Beautiful. Okay, the next bit now would be to paint with burnt sienna. Yes, you might be wondering what I meant by it. Okay, so that certain part of the rose window. Okay, let me show you. That's actually to create a mild shadow. And I see a mild shadow because later on we will be painting some areas with black to create a more dominant shadow. So for this one, let's say our light is coming from this area, going here. So from here to here, that means the shadow would be on this side. So viewing it from this side, shadow should be after the line. Let me just turn it around to make it easier for me. So the shadow would be in here. And then here as well, inside. And also here, inside. And again here. Inside. There we go. Now, on this side, oh, let me just finish this. Oh yes, on this side, it will be outside. So it's outside the line. And that means it's also outside the line here. Here it's outside the line. And here, outside the line. So the line would be here instead of here. I hope you can see it on your computer where the lines are being painted. So instead of inside like this, it's outside the line. And by the line, I mean the original sketch that we have. Okay, so we painted the frame. We're now going to do the same with the design. So we are going to create that shadow. So first, we can either do it petal by petal or a more general approach, all the petals first, large areas, and then the small areas. So it depends on you, which is more convenient. Earlier in class, we did it petal by petal. Okay. So now I'm doing it large areas first, more general approach. So the leaves. Yes, and as you can see here, I painted half in and then half out, which is different from this leaf, which is half in, literally straight inside, and then half outside, because it depends on the position of the leaf. Okay, and it's the same on this side. So I'm painting it inside the petal, and then for the leaf, half in, and then half out. And then here in, here in, here in, and here out. And again, that is only because of the direction of light. So we have to determine, we have to imagine where the shadow is cast. So here, it's like that. So it's in, out, and this side in. Perfect. We're doing very well. Okay, so again, shadows in, here in the circle, and this side outside of the circle. So again, it depends on where the shape is. So this one is here. This one is here. And then here. Oh, and we also have this inner circle. So this inner circle shadow is here on this side and on this side like that. Okay, and again, we stick to that same pattern, which is not solid. However, we still create this broken lines for the shadow to mark the area where our rose window is. Okay, I had to turn it around to make it more convenient for me to paint. Okay, there we go. Now let's check if we missed anything. I think we've done all the necessary areas. Well, I hope we have. Oh, here. Okay, so we've done all of that. Now, we just, since we've spread some red, green, and blue paint there, we're also going to put some brown paint here. Again, this is just all for balance. I'm sorry, burnt sienna would be the paint. Okay, now we just have to get some black paint and then do the shadows with black paint and we're good to go. Okay, so let me just start with by turning this towards, facing towards me. And that is because I have to be able to reach the part where the shadow is. Again, it doesn't have to be the same area where the burnt sienna was painted on. The black paint should be thinner and shorter than the burnt sienna. Okay. 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 So I've done the first line. So now the next one, let me just try this. I'll do this side first. Let's start here. So again, it's thinner than the burnt sienna. Same here. Okay, we've now done that part. Now let's do this bit here in the bottom. We've done that bit. Okay, now I have to be a little bit more careful on this side because this is on the inside. It's supposed to be on the inside, so I shouldn't exceed the line on the other side, closer to my hand. Okay, but I am having difficulty painting it on the other side, and that is because the paint is still wet. Perfect. Okay, so we painted that bit. Okay, so now we can do it as a full big one or petal by petal. Okay, let's try petal by petal this time. So we'll start here with this petal, and then we do that. Okay, so we've done that bit. Now the next one, next petal. There we go. Now the leaf, again inside half of it, and then outside half. Okay, And then we just have to just do the rest. So outside, inside, and there we go. Oh, perfect. So here, outside, inside, inside, outside, inside. There we go. And then again, inside and outside. And again, inside, then outside. Then inside here, and outside there. And we're doing pretty well, halfway through. And then again, flower inside. So all of those circles inside. And then this inside as well, and outside. Well done, us. And then here inside, and then outside. And then again here inside, everything inside. And then outside the circles. And then, did we miss anything? Okay, this one, that one. And then I now have to turn it around towards me to see if I missed anything. And yes, I have. Okay, here. And then here. Okay. Let me just have a look at it. Yes, here, here, here. And I think we're doing a good job there. And now we just have to draw some lines here, because usually there are lines connecting that there with some more designs. Now, we opted to do a style that leaves some areas, some spaces vacant. But we still have to fill them with some colors. Because again, what's important here is balance. So now we have this beautiful rose window. And this is an artistic version again of a rose window rather than an architectural version. So I hope you enjoyed the session, and we will be doing something else that's very exciting in the next session. So see you again soon. Bye-bye.